Let's start on defense with the defensive line. Like we know San Francisco on paper has this fantastic defensive line, right? I mean, Bosa, obviously, he's one of the best in the entire league. But Kansas City's defense has quietly gotten better and better and better throughout the year, whereas San Fran in the last few weeks, they haven't really been as dominant up front as maybe people would expect them to be. So, K-Walk, as you look at both of these D lines, if you had to give that green check mark to one of them, which D line is better, or which D line do you feel more confident in coming into Sunday?
Yeah, and for everything you mentioned, Jay, I mean, obviously, it's like, what have you done for me lately? And you have to look at it that way. And then you mentioned it, you laid it out very perfectly. Is that that the Kansas City Chiefs defense has got them to this point. 49ers have gotten here despite their their defensive line, and then other than Nick Bosa, you really haven't heard too much from those other guys, the Armsteads, the Hargraves, even the newly added Chase Young. Even though Chase Young had a quietly really good game against the Lions. But going into this, and I think right now, I think we're going to see a different 49ers team. I think they're not going to you're not going to see that 49ers defense that you saw in the Packers game and the Lions game, at least in the first half of those games. I think you're going to see the second half of those games, and then of course adjustments are going to be made throughout the game. So with all that being said, I'm going to take the 49ers defense. I just think, from the starting four to the depth that the 49ers have at that position as well, the D-line, I think you got to give them the check mark there because Chris Jones can only do so much. And the Chiefs also lost their second best pass rusher, and I forget his name. I can't pronounce it. No, even though he was a 49er last year, he's out with the ACL injury. So with that being said, I gotta give the check mark to the 49ers.
Yeah. Britt, what say you about this? Which D line do you like better?
I'm back and forth with this one because we know the how forceful, I should say, Nick Bosa can be with Javon Hargrave, with is it Eric Armstead?
Eric Armstead, yeah.
Eric Armstead, and then they back up. You still got Randy Gregory. I know Chase Young is over there as well. I didn't forget about him. You still got Randy Gregory. Then you have, I think, Javon Kinlaw is still on there as well, right? Yeah. So like K-Walk said, that depth is just woo. But that Chris Jones guy, my goodness, it's just like when he wants to be a force, whenever he wants to, it is hard to stop him. And he creates his pressure is what helps the other players, which helps the Carlotus, however you say his name, which helps the I think Derek Nandi and all those other guys. It's like it's hard to contain him, and that's who I'm focused on right now is Chris Jones. So it ain't about much. I think if Chris Jones wasn't there, I'm going with San Francisco's D line all the way. It's just Chris Jones. He is such a handful to stop, and he creates so much for the other defensive linemen that's surrounding him, because I think they're just okay surrounding Chris Jones, but with him on that line, they get their sacks or they get their pressures. I'm not sure. I don't think they have that much depth, so I agree with that. But Chris Jones is just keep pointing in my face like, yeah, go against me if you want to. I did that last year, and look where it got me. So I'm not going to make that mistake.
Do it again.
Huh?
Yeah. Don't do it.
No,
Don't do it.
Pick other 49ers groups. But that Chris Jones one is tough to go against. I swear.
So who did you take, Britt? You got the Niners?
I took the Chiefs.
Okay, you got the Chiefs. Okay.
Let me correct that. I took Chris Jones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Chris Jones is definitely a monster. I think, I don't know. I feel like San Francisco's D-line has to play better. You can't let Mahomes just sit back there and just have all day to do what he wants. So I think San Francisco's defensive line has to wreck the game and kind of wreak havoc on Mahomes. And I think they have the people to do that, even though they haven't necessarily done it as of late. I think they have the people that can do it. So I'm gonna, if I have to give the green check, I'm gonna give it to San Fran. But I agree, Britt, it's closer than maybe people, just casual observers, might think it is, because you see all those names on the 49ers, but the Chiefs do a fantastic job at getting pressure as well. But I'm gonna go with the Niners on this one.